I'm Felipe Benitez, Executive Director and founder of Corazon Latino. And when Helen was mentioning, I've been doing this for 20 years. Probably when I started when I was 10, probably. Just kidding. Now I'm very proud of having do a little bit of work around this time. And for the past 5 years, leading this phenomenal organization, which is Corazon Latino. And a lot of our summer fellows, a lot of our staff members have joined. So we're getting the crowd going, but I see that there's a lot of great attendance. So our staff, our leadership is joining. So thank you everybody for taking the time. And I'm right now in Washington, D.C., and well, really in Arlington, but very close to the border line. So I'm in the ancestral lands of the Anacostans. I'm going to start by saying I'm a proud dad, an immigrant, and a proud, I don't want to say protector, but advocate for our Madre Tierra. That's how I would define myself. I've had the privilege of leading work for the past 20 years, in the past 5 years, as I mentioned, with Corazon Latino, and share with you some ideas. Please feel free to ask questions and share comments. I know that Helen and the team will be able to read them out loud, but and we will make all of this slides and content available, and you'll figure out ways to connect if needed. So let me start by sharing my screen. Hopefully it works. All right. So I always like starting and bragging about our work, and this is work that we did inside El Yunque National Forest, hence my t-shirt. And we were here bringing the community surrounding El Yunque to help do some scientific data gathering with for the management of El Yunque. As you know, in 2018, Hurricane Maria and Irma decimated the island and completely changed the way the forest, the urban forest. Remember, El Yunque is adjacent to different cities. It changed the way the conformation of the forest. So we brought community members, those who are part of are living, breathing, and coexisting with El Yunque to help collect this info. So it was a very interesting and a very humbling experience, but it taught us a lot on how to really do a lot of the great of this community. So I just had to share this slide because it's one of my favorites, doing and getting our hands dirty. So hint, if you want to volunteer, we still have a lot going on in Puerto Rico, and not only in El Yunque, but the IITF, the International Tropical Forestry, and all around the island. But we also have work in Arizona, in California, here in the East Coast. So there's a lot of opportunities to partner, join forces, figure out how we can together create this reciprocity between humans and nature. If we take care of nature, nature will take care of us. If we don't, we're on the losing end of that deal. So that's part of our motto, our beliefs, and for those who have known and followed Corazon Latino's work, you know that we really try to use this philosophy in all the work that we do. And here we go. So a lot of the work that we do is by creating culturally relevant and linguistically appropriate programming in conservation, education, in health, economic development, even food security, and we want to empower frontline communities, what is known as frontline communities. We are working hand in hand with federal agencies to advance justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives, and all of the executive orders and directive that have come in the past few administrations. Obviously, the most recent from the Biden-Harris administration about Justice 40. We are helping, and we're very proud. We're honored to be really in the front line of making those 40% of the resources, 40% of the programming that the federal government is doing, helping reach the communities that need it the most. And obviously, it's a monumental work, but we're very proud to be part of that effort. We started very early, 5 years ago, with a very heavy focus on conservation and environmental. We started with a very generous seed funding from Helen and from at Forest Health Protection and from conservation education also to do our work. But we know that our lives, our world shifted dramatically during the pandemic, and also because of the work we're doing, that it brings culturally relevant and linguistically appropriate work to communities. We started expanding a little bit more, and we have adopted an approach that is called the One Health, in which we believe that the balance between healthy ecosystems, healthy human communities, and healthy animal communities are essential for the well-being of everybody. So we cannot just take isolated, we cannot just focus on urban forestry or in protecting forests. We also need to take care of humans, we need to take care of animals. And if we fail in something, the system suffers. We suffer at the end of the day. And you know that it aligns perfectly well with the Forest Service motto of caring for the land and protecting the land and connecting people. Forgot it. Helen, help me. What's the motto of the Forest Service? Quick test. Quiz. Caring for the land, connecting people. Something like along those lines. I apologize. And the serving people. There you go. Sorry about that. I should know it by heart. No worries. Thank you very much. Apologies for the lapse. Some of the work that we do with the Forest Service, and we'll share, I'm not going to go in deep, but we do urban forestry, the correlation with healthy forests, healthy people. We do a lot of conservation education, and we're even doing a lot of great work right now with, as I mentioned, with justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We've been all around the country and in Puerto Rico doing a lot of filming about stories, frontline stories of practitioners, of staff members of the Forest Service in very different, that are telling their stories of how they live as professionals, as individuals, as members, as leaders in their communities, environmental justice. So I expect to hear a little bit more. And we also tap a lot into emerging technologies, virtual reality, artificial. We're starting to dip our toes into artificial intelligence, obviously being very careful and very ethical. But augmented reality, metaverse, all those that we believe that if we're gonna reach, inform, and inspire the new generation of land stewards, we need to do it through the use of technology. We don't shy away, and you know it because we use technology, especially in the urban forestry world. We do it, we use apps, we use crowdsourcing, so we need to embrace it and to make sure that we're very excited to start testing in the next few months about how to reach, how to educate, how to empower frontline communities in urban forestry through virtual reality. So stay tuned because there's going to be a lot. Send me a text, send me an email if you want to be part of this, because we're starting to test and very exciting things are coming. Our impact, very briefly, we reach a lot of we reach an important part of the communities we serve. In an average year, we have over 140 events. We have work in several states, as I mentioned, and we do a lot of civic engagement. We believe that that conservation and protection of our Madre Tierra starts through civically engaged communities. All right, let's get started. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Sorry, it took me a little bit longer than I expected to talk about, but I think it's important, the context of what we're doing and why the team thought it was a good idea to bring us in for this. I really love sharing this slide because this is really the philosophy or the reason for existence of our work. You will see in the picture on your right, a community gathering, enjoying public lands, enjoying nature. This could be replicated or can be seen in Latino, African American, Appalachia, rural America, where we bring the party to the park or party to the forest, where we bring the food, we bring soccer, we bring whatever it takes, and we make it a fun experience because it's part of our DNA, part of what we do. The one on the left, it's a little bit how the mainstream, if I want to call it one way or the other mainstream, it's where it does it, and there's no right or wrong way. Both are equally acceptable. They should be equally acceptable. They're both important, and they are good ways to enjoying, and then after enjoying is protecting nature. What we need to recognize is that there are differences, and that communities, individuals, families will enjoy it in a different way. You may be more aligned to one or the other. I don't care. I want you to really enjoy it, because as part of the work that we do and part of the support we're providing in federal agencies, we're following the Civil Rights Act, the Title V, where everybody, no matter where they come, what language they speak, everybody in the United States of America has the same right to have access to nature, to our public lands. It is a right, and it's a responsibility to care for them. So this is really important, and that's what the work that we do. When we're talking about communities with limited English proficiency, which I think one of the technical terms that we use, that because English is not their first language or they're not their language of preference, we want to be careful that translations are not enough. I know that there has been a lot of great advancements, and now that with Google Translate and AI, we're getting a lot more, and now we see more science, but translation word by word using Google Translate, although it has evolved a lot in the past few years, still not enough. It's not gonna get you there. It's a great first step, don't get me wrong. I welcome and I applaud, but context matters, words matters, who are we talking to matters. So just a quick example of how things can go wrong pretty easily. These are real signs. The first one I'm going to translate: extreme caution, watch for eyes, which is obviously probably in a lake or in a body of water. And the translation for those who speak Spanish will understand it, but it's a reloj extremo del cuidado para el hielo. So basically, because it's a literal word by word translation, it's saying the clock extreme, be careful for the ice. Makes no sense. And this is a safety. This is important for people, might be a matter of that life and death. So it's not enough just to put a Google Translate. It is important, it's a first step, but it's important. Same thing with the one on the right. Please turn off the showers when you're done. Por favor, vuelta lejos chaparrones cuando usted es hecho. Basically, the translation says something like, please come back far away, shower before you're done. So it makes absolutely no sense. So again, please, a message that is trying to communicate about saving water and keeping everybody safe, probably it's totally lost in translation. It's totally not, and it will counter. And somebody that doesn't know better may have known, like, well, we have the sign there, and no, they didn't follow the instructions. Well, if you're not communicating properly, there's going to be a flaw in communications. Understanding the terminology. People, even while we were designing this and brainstorming this webinar, we said, like, well, we're going to use Latino, we're going to use Hispanic, or we're going to use Latinx, Latina, and there's all the variations that have come after. So I'm not advocating for anyone in particular. I just want you to know, be informed. So a lot of Latino and Hispanics are more traditionally used. Hispanic is the definition that is more commonly used in the federal government, in government documents, Hispanic. Latino, it's more widely used and more common. And Latinx has come in from a few years ago to create what it's intended to be a gender neutral term, a non-binary. People use it also Latina, Latina. So what is the best term that you can use? Depends. Depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to a young audience, Latinx might make a lot of sense. If you're talking to an older generation, Hispanic or Latino. So for us, there's no right or wrong. Taking a stand in one or the other is equally wrong. Latinx for Spanish speaker makes it's actually a really hard word to say. Others change it to Latine. And there's all kinds of polling, all kinds of research done. What I recommend is know your audience and you will know what is best. So again, taking that away because like say, well, why are you not calling in Latinx or why are you not calling Latino? Well, we very purposely use Hispanic because in the title of the webinar, and then we use Latino in the description. So that's again the preference, but also it's important to know why. Do we have a poll available? Helen, Joanne?
Yes, I'm launching it right now.
Great. All right. So it's gonna start getting a little bit fun. So we're gonna run a poll. How many participants we have? I saw there was more than 100. So this is really exciting. So we all recognize that that the picture that we see, it's a cake, right? So for those who speak Spanish or who have some knowledge of words, I want you to tell me through the poll. You let me know when it's on. What is it? Is it a pastel in Spanish? I mean a cake. Is it a bizcocho? Is it a torta? Or do you know it by any other name? Let me guys know if the poll is working.
Yes, the poll is working.
Oh, great. I cannot see it, so just can you somebody just let me know what is the results so far?
So far, people are still voting pastel with 64% right now, bizcocho with 6%, torta 25%, other 3%. Somebody in the chat, Carolina said ponque.
There you go. Even another one. I love it. So all of them are actually accurate. All of them with pastel, that's what you would call it in Mexico, for example, bizcocho in Puerto Rico, and torta in South America, and others, ponque, whatever we decided. So all of them are accurate, but it does matter because if I tell a Mexican crowd that we're gonna have a bizcocho, or they're gonna say like what? But the bizcochos are different, a different pastry. Or if we go to a Mexican, if I go to Buenos Aires, or let me change that. If a Bonaerense, somebody from Argentina, comes and asks for a torta in Mexico, it will get a very different type of food. A torta in Mexico is a sandwich. So when we're talking about the Latino community, we're talking about 20 countries of origin, Puerto Rico, and acknowledge that the Latino community is very diverse. So context matters, a word matters. So that's why it's very important to learn, to listen, and to know who you're talking to. So again, you ask for a cake, you wanted one of this and you get one of this, or vice versa, it's gonna be some false advertisement there. But that could happen in many contexts, and when you're trying to communicate with Latino communities around the country. But there's common ground. At the end of the day, it's Spanish. There's cultural similarities. We're family oriented, as many communities. As I mentioned, not only it's African American, Asian, rural America. It's very similar. Music and arts bring us together. Dance and fiesta might sound cliche, but that's one of the key elements that we really use when engaging in a meaningful way with Latino communities. Sometimes people ask us like, what's better, English, Spanglish, or Spanglish, whatever is best. Rules of thumb: recent arrival Spanish, first generation, English with some Spanish, second, third, fourth generation. For example, in New Mexico or in Texas, where the border cross the communities, not vice versa. They were established there before we even got their political borders. English, but important, always use culturally relevant words. Sometimes throw in. There was a couple of really interesting articles a few weeks ago about the language, the dialects. I hate using dialect, but that's how it's I think technical use that in New Mexicans speak. There's a very unique, very pure, very unique way of talking Spanish and Spanglish in New Mexico. So so anyhow, it matters, and it's important to know who you're talking to. Okay, so it's we need to start about talking about how do we connect with the communities? How do we do that? Because that's always the biggest challenge, always the biggest question. Yeah, great, we're ready, but we don't know where to start. I don't speak Spanish. I don't know what to do. I don't know anybody, or maybe I'm not sure how to go about it. So here's a couple of small recommendations that we can give you. First and most important, attending your community Latino-oriented event, and there's always something happening. Cinco de Mayo, Dia de las Madres, Mother's Day, Latino Conservation Week, Fiestas Patrias, and even just party, even just figure out ways. We always find a way to celebrate. Like many communities, there's always a reason, an excuse to celebrate. Attend those events. Attend things that already exist and just walk around. Meet with the organizations that are already there. You will very likely see an organization providing education, religious, health, probably immigrant, jobs, and those are your partners. They already know the community. They already know how to have the trust of the community, and they will already know how to build from that existing relationships to build up a bigger. Those are the people that you want to start talking to, because they're going to be the best ways to get into. And what we talk about when we're talking about conservation, about urban forestry, those are topics that if they're not already part of their mission, they would be okay, or they will very likely aligned with the work that they're doing. So it's just a matter of having those conversations. Identify those trusted institutions like community-based organizations, churches, businesses. There's always a great Mexican restaurant almost in every part of the country. Go to that place where we have the regular crowd, but also the Latino crowd goes and have a good brunch on Sunday. Go to the media, what Telemundo, Univision, or the local radio station is doing. Consulates, those who are representing the representation of foreign countries like Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, whatever. There's always, and they're by definition, they're going to be already where there's a large Latino community. So those could be your allies. Those are you, and build partnerships. It's very important. Don't come in and say, well, we have an event and we need you to help and we may have some funding. We need to build trust, build partnerships, and be patient. It's not going to be the first time. If they don't respond to their email and the first week, it's fine. But you have to be patient. And this is the only way, and listen to us because this is very important. This is the only way that you're going to be effectively. You cannot parachute into these communities. There's a lot of distrust. There's a lot of bad experiences, and it will reject. If you come and have the patience, the commitment, the investment in time and resources, you will get there. I remember when we started doing the work on behalf of the Forest Service, when we asked Helen and others when they were coming to our event, like, hey, you know what? Please, on the first ones that we're doing, don't bring your uniform, because the uniform looks a little bit like law enforcement or immigration, and we don't want to start creating some tensions there. So why don't you just come with a polo shirt? We want you to wear the insignia. We still want you to wear the distinction of being in the Forest Service, but just help us. And then in the next one, or in the third or fourth, then we start being like, oh, then we get used to like, oh yeah, it's this lady that she was here. Oh, she's from the Forest Service. Oh, and this is their uniform. Because otherwise it can create, and I can create in any community, by the way. I mean, it's not a specific of one Latino. This is for every community. Be there for your community. Make sure that in times of challenges, in difficult times, you're there. You're just not there when you need them. You be there when they need you to. So just two examples. We did a lot of food distribution during COVID in Puerto Rico and southern Arizona. The one on the right, it's one of my favorite pictures of all time, because That's a tree planting exercise or a tree planting ceremony with the niece of the late Breonna Taylor. That it was something that we, with a couple of local organizations, we helped to heal the community, because during those very difficult times for our country, we were there. And this is when you need to be, not just when you need, not when you just need to start asking something about our community. Be there for them. Remove barriers of entry. If you're having an event, if you want people to be trained, if you want to engage people, is there cost? Is there any cost associated? Maybe there's an entrance fee to the park, or maybe transportation may be a little, and we talk a bit as another. Maybe it's a little bit far, and maybe they have to take public transportation. Maybe they have to pay for parking. Timing. Are we doing it on a Saturday morning or on a Sunday afternoon? Saturday morning, I can pretty much guarantee, unless you're in Puerto Rico, that no Latino is going to show up. Why? Because a majority, especially of immigrant community, they still work on Saturdays. They're in the service industry, so Saturday it's a work day. Sunday, it's very likely that it will happen, that you will do it, but be careful not to do it during church time, because then you won't be competing with God at that one LOL. So Sunday afternoon, they're already in our public lands. They're already in everybody's public land. That sounded a little bit bad. They're already in public lands. They're already enjoying. So see when they go. They might go on at different hours. I can guarantee you that it's very unlikely that they will be early in the morning. They will be in the afternoon. So those are the times. So be very mindful, because I've seen so many cases of people like, well, we put out a flyer and we got all these outreach, but nobody showed up. So therefore, Latinos don't care. Well, what time did you did it? Well, it's Saturday at 7 a.m. Like, nobody's gonna show up, period. So be mindful of that. Information and communication, it's key. Are you telling them what to expect? Are you telling them how to get there? Are you telling them, because again, a lot of communities, we come in packs, we come with family members. So can I bring my 7-year-old or my grandmother into the event, or can they also be helpful? And if they do, what do we do to also have a positive experience for them? So be very open and be very wise on this stuff. Getting the word out, flyers, online, traditional media, have a phone line. Have somebody answer the phone and provide information about what's done. Don't expect RSVPs. Don't expect like, oh, we're gonna go to Eventbrite and then we're gonna like, no, that's not gonna happen in the Latino community. Text messaging it's a great opportunity, and that's why we recommend partnering with organizations that already work with the community, because it will be easier for them to help you reach out, engage, inform. So for us, partnerships are very important. We applaud a lot of the initiatives where they bring, where organizations bring and hire an expert or bring an intern. It's good first step, but it's not enough. You really need to have organizations, groups, leaders that have a strong presence, a strong understanding of your community. During the programs, be inclusive. Make sure that you are welcoming the whole family, because that happens, especially if you're doing it on a Sunday after church. They will come and they will spend time with you, but they will come with their church clothes, and everybody, la abuelita, from the abuelita to the little baby. So make sure that you are ready to welcome them, that you have bilingual programming. Be aware, be very important to have the cultural awareness. Things that are important like food, music, the way we interact with nature. Simple instructions. Don't make things too complicated. It's simple. We need to make sure that we are communicating effectively and efficiently. Make people feel safe. Be aware of sensitivities, which I already mentioned, and have fun. The most important is nature brings joy to people. Make it fun. Don't make it a chore. Don't make it a transactional where you're just gonna be doing the work and then you go. No, make it fun. Bring music, bring food, bring other activities that will make it enjoyable, because that's gonna be the secret to success and to increase your numbers. There's always have a call to action. Always explain them what they can do next. And aside from the work that they're doing in urban forestry, aside from doing data collection, aside from training, aside from cleanups, there's other things that you can be doing by being outdoors. You can use bio blitzes. You can do project learning tree, career pathways. Make sure that it's comprehensive, it's a holistic approach. And that's why it's difficult to do this, because we need to be thinking in a lot of different areas and a different elements to make sure that it's an enjoyable experience for communities. All the other things that you can do. You can do in Zumba, you can be doing yoga, movement classes, get people moving, not only just like put them in to work, also let them enjoy. Again, if nature takes care of us, we will take care of, vice versa. If we take care of nature, nature will take care of us. Recreation, biking, make sure that you are complementing and you're having a holistic approach to your events. Water-based, concerts in the park. We sometimes bring a dance instructor, we bring a guitarist. That makes the experience enjoyable. And I wanted to share this picture because this was actually a water-based event that we did a couple of years ago. And if you see, like, even though they knew and we explained them we're going to get wet and they're going to get in the river and they're going to get a lot of fun, still some members of the community showed up, which was amazing, but dressed in their Sunday clothes. So just be aware of that. Safety, expectations, and making sure that people are comfortable with what they're doing. Couple of examples of engagement. For example, this one was one of my favorite a few years ago, when we partnered with Catholic Charities in the DC area, where we framed a tree planting event or a tree planting session around Laudato Si, around the Pope Francis, el Papa Francisco encyclica around our common house. So that actually gave parishioners, gave faith-based an interesting approach to doing things. So we might find other similar situations. Another one was one of our first, and the little girl here, it's Helen's beautiful daughter, and where we did, again, we use my tree to help kids understand the importance and the value of trees. And we did it fun. We provided, we did it in advance, all the iTree, you probably recognize the iTree sticker behind there. And again, they met scientists and make it exciting, because if you motivate the kids, you're gonna motivate the parents. And I'm almost done. Make sure that you have your key dates mapped out. There's a lot of opportunities throughout the year. And that's gonna be it. Sorry if I went a little bit hard. So sorry, Uriel. Your turn. I apologize for taking a little bit longer, but I thought it was worth it. Any questions, comments, send me a text, do whatever you got to do, and I'm here.